Roger Federer hasn't found himself in this position too often recently. Down 2 sets. For these 2 weeks here in Key Biscayne at the NASDAQ 100 Open. And Mary, let's take a look at the second set stats. And a bunch of winners from Federer, but he still drops the set to Nadal.
No, I mean, it's a remarkable turnaround. Nadal coming back. He was up a set and a break. And then that 4-game run from Federer, you think, all right, he's up 4-1. He's taken the tape off of his feet. He's looking pretty snappy all of a sudden. He's moving a lot better. He's hitting winners. Then Federer goes up 5-3 and is a point away, misses an overhead. I mean, it looked like all the momentum was with Federer there. At 5-4, Federer's got 2 set points. He missed a volley that he could have made, and then a forced error. Nadal, remember, Nadal thought he had gotten ripped off in that game. Thought he had a bad call. Used his anger to fight his way out of that. And now he's just taken a 2-sets-to-love lead. And here's Federer. We know this guy's got blisters. Now he's got to contemplate trying to win 3 straight sets against a guy who's playing tremendous tennis against him.
And from Nadal's perspective, this is all a bonus. I mean, he's headed right back to Spain immediately after this event because he committed to play in a clay court tournament next week in Valencia. His opening round match is Wednesday, not thinking that he was going to make it to the final here in Key Biscayne. He said, yeah, I'll have some time, be able to get back over there, warm up. And here he is, not only in the final, but now up 2 sets on Roger Federer.
Well, not only that, but Bill, but he won 2 clay court tournaments coming into this event. Didn't have any real practice on hard courts until a couple of days before he came in here. And he's got a very heavily scheduled clay court season leading into the French. I have to think that at this point, this 18-year-old is going to have to schedule himself differently, because he's not only proving how good he is on clay, he's proving how tough he is on hard as well. He's playing the kind of tennis that'll see him still employed on the weekends.
Youngest finalist in the history of this event. 3 career titles, but all on clay. Had the big win over Andy Roddick last December in Davis Cup, and won his first match at the age of 15. And he continues his fine play.
Leighton Hewitt won his first ATP match when he was 15 years old, but he was so scrawny, Hewitt, back then, that he needed safety pins to hold up his shorts. He was so slight. He's built like a man. See how strong he is. He's not your normal teenager, is he? He competes like a man, not like a boy.
So if you think about this going back to when these two played each other last year, he has now taken 4 straight sets from Roger Federer, and that is a very manly performance. Up here to start the 3rd set, 40 love. And he holds it love. Well, tonight on 60 Minutes. Well, Nadal is obviously a great competitor, but he's shown sportsmanship along the way. This past February in Brazil, in the 2nd set of his quarterfinal match with Agustin Coleri, Coleri hit a shot on match point that was ruled out. The chair umpire called it game, set, and match, but Rafael said, no, wait a minute, that ball was in. They replayed the point, and Nadal ended up losing the 2nd set in a tiebreak, had to come back and win it in 3.
So he's a good sport, too.
Just like his opponent today. Beautiful volley.
15 love.
15 love.
Federer's got a lot of decisions to make now.
As he told us earlier, against the left-hander, sometimes by the time you figure it out, it's too late. But obviously, you can't attribute all this to the fact that Nadal is a left-hander. He's just playing extraordinarily well. 30 love. Goodness.
40 love.
Federer's been to net a couple of times in this opening game. Well, does he just want to try to play quicker points? Not a bad idea, but that's not easy on blistered feet either, to be charging in like that.
Game, Federer.
Well, Nadal held it love to start the third set. Federer answers with a love game of his own, 1-all. And next, CBS Sports takes a special look at the life and times of one of the most dominant and flamboyant personalities in all of sports. It's Wilt Chamberlain, larger than life. Next on CBS.
He was a big tennis fan. He used to come out to the U.S. Open.
Talk about a guy with a reach.
A friend of mine once asked him how good his overhead was, and Wilt said, "Don't know. No one's ever tried to lob me."
Seeing the mark there, love 15. Trying to move Nadal all over the court.
And that's
Federer dumps it in the net.
He's frustrated himself for that.
Crowd chuckling. Someone had yelled, "Come on, Agassi."
Yeah, you get a lot of sophisticated tennis humor. That misses. So he's missed one forehand into the net in this game and one forehand big. Just not finding his range.
30-15.
The fans are trying to cheer him on a little bit.
Urge Roger on. Reference to Agassi was for the man who's won here 6 times and who Federer beat in the semifinals.
It's missing from everywhere now.
40-15.
Man, this was a mishit. Now he's just playing defensively at the net. Hard to make Roger Federer look like that. Nadal has done a brilliant job of bringing down the world's #1.
Another impressive service game from Nadal on serve in the third. Nadal holds on to win. We mentioned that despite having never played at the French Open, he will be, because of his clay court game, one of the favorites in Paris this year. And this won't do much to hurt his the speculation that he's the man to beat. Up 2 sets on the world #1 Roger Federer. It's interesting, despite his age, only 18, Rafael might be even farther along in his development, but he missed 3 months last year with a stress fracture, as you mentioned, Mary, in his ankle, trying to jump the net. And he said that was a very tough period, watching his world ranking go from the 30s down to the 70s.
Well, no, actually, he broke his elbow jumping in. That was 2 years ago. Last year, he was out 3 months with an ankle.
Well, the elbow was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And sails long. Federer still
15-30.
unable to dial in.
What had happened was that Nadal was playing a tournament in Estoril, one of the tune-up tournaments to the French, against Richard Gasquet, a very talented French player. He knew his ankle was bad, and he knew he shouldn't have played the match, but he'd already defaulted once to Gasquet. He didn't want to do it again. He didn't want Gasquet to think he was ducking him. So he played Gasquet, beat him, and then had to withdraw from the tournament and miss the French. That's it. People have been talking about Gasquet for a couple of years. He's a flashy French player. And Gaël Monfils, another Frenchman who's got all kinds of promise. This kid, Rafael Nadal, is not much older than a lot of the kids with so much buzz. And he's already there.
2 break chances. Big points here.
Oh. Look at all the energy.
Oh!
So and again, I guess this can happen when you're this strong and still so young. Winning 2 clay court tournaments right before this one. Playing his way into the final here. Playing against Roger Federer, his uncle Tony. Can't believe he's 3 games away from beating the world's #1 and winning this huge tournament.
It's been said that Federer is an artist who uses the entire palette, but it's Nadal who's painting the masterpiece today. Nadal up 2 sets and now a break at 3-1 in the third. He's won 8 of the last 10 games. Just to be reminded to show the new balls. And here's that 15-match win streak coming into the final here. And that record of 20-2. And Nadal is doing this against a big match performer. 17 straight finals.
That's exactly right.
Federer has 1.
Federer's far and away the #1 player in the world. Nadal will be ranked in the top 20 for the very first time. when he wakes up tomorrow morning. And he's playing a lot better than that. You know, it's really something. Federer couldn't beat Nadal the only other time they played, which was here last year. And Federer had to play Nadal in doubles once and lost that one.
And there was just that moment of surrender on that point from Federer, which is uncharacteristic. 30-15. And that is the second ace from a player whose service game is considered a weakness. (40-15). Second double. 40-30. Well, we thought this might be one-sided. We just didn't think it would be this side of the net. You figure with a guy like Federer, who has been so dominant, has won 47 of his last 48 matches, that he would come out and be an intimidating presence against Nadal. But Nadal has just been determined throughout this match. Here comes Federer, trying to pressure Nadal's service game. Deuce. And a great chance for Federer. Trying to get back on serve here in the third.
You really get the feeling it's his last chance. Already down 2 sets in a break. Screaming at himself. He hit such a good return, Federer. Very few players could have gotten this back.
We talked earlier about how nothing seems to phase Federer. Well, he's phased at the moment.
He is. He didn't. I don't think he really believed he'd have to hit a second winner.
Break point saved. Deuce.
Nadal has, against the very best player in the world, he's played the bigger points well. Some tragically missed opportunities for Roger Federer.
Federer with 42 unforced errors. Only 22 for Nadal. With the whimper from the world #1, Nadal holds 4-1 in the third. One of the most stunning results in men's tennis in quite some time. Nadal, the 29 seed, ranked number 31 in the world. He will go in to the top 20 next week. And Federer, with his 17 consecutive finals won. He's serving down 2 sets and 1-4 here in the third. those shots that have served Federer so well have deserted him today.
Love 15.
Now, the richly deserved reputation that Roger Federer has carved for himself is that the more difficult the shot, the more extreme the moment, the more explosive Federer tends to be. But the explosive one on the court is the kid.
Nadal has won from 5-3 in the second set, 9 of the last 11 games, including the tiebreak. 15 all.
What players feel against Federer is that his game is so complete that there's just no safe place to hit the ball against him. But that's what he's feeling against Nadal today.
Nadal tried to creep in, and Federer made him pay.
Well, they both went from defense to offense in this point. And Federer gets the last word. But is this too little, too late?
30-15.
Didn't exactly see a fist pump from Federer when he struck that one, did you?
A lot of action on that serve. Well, here's how surprising this result is. This is Roger Federer, world #1, winner of 47 of his last 48 matches, 7 titles since the start of the Open in 2004. 12-1 against top 10 players. He's only lost 4 sets. So Federer able to hold relatively easy service game. Nadal will serve now at 4-2 in the third. Last time he lost in the final was October of 2003 to Yuri Novak. And it's striking how dominant Federer has been over the other top players from the end of 2003 when he won the Tennis Masters Cup until the end of 2004. He didn't have a single loss to a player in the top 10, 24-0. Relative to those other top players, he's been just at a different level. So what Nadal is doing here today really is something special. (15-love) and 4-2. You could just hear Federer thinking that better not go in. Just tremendous effort. And a lesser competitor with the cushion that Nadal has might have let that go. And an opening for Federer. 15-30.
And Nadal very smartly taking his time, collecting himself. Had his forehand not clipped the tape, it would have stayed in. He didn't get rattled. Now he's rattled. Now he should take another long walk. That's just what Nadal's doing. Walking back to the ball kids, checking out the which two balls he wants to use. Plays like a grown-up, this kid.
But Federer's broken back. And we're back on serve in the third. CBS Sports coverage of the NASDAQ 100 Open will continue after this word from your local station. Limp above. And Rafael Nadal practically sprinted over to start this game. With Federer serving at 3-4. 18-year-old showing a lot of energy.
Love 15.
Well, 15. Federer continuing at times to look out of sorts.
And look rushed. It's not easy to rush Roger.
Love 30.
Double there, his third. Puts him in a hole at love 30. Roger, of course, the #1 seed. That has not always been a good thing here in Key Biscayne. In fact, it's been more than 10 years since a #1 seed won the men's championship here. That was Pete Sampras back in 1994.
Wanted the call. And Steve Ulrich again is agreeing with the call.
Check CBS Hawkeye.
Nadal's right, it was out.
That wasn't really close.
See how the teenager handles this one.
15-30. It was a big break for Federer.
All.
30 all. From love 30 down for Federer. What a point. Some of the folks on their feet here at Key Biscayne.
Tremendous defense from Nadal, recovering from a slip and still firing it back. Federer able to track down that volley. Such a smart point played by Nadal. Again, going from defense to offense so quickly. Something Federer has made himself famous for.
A masterful touch.
That's just such a lefty thing to do. I'm not just saying that because I'm left-handed, but things occur to my people that don't always occur to other people.
Well, that was especially effective after generating all that power and then suddenly to throw in the off speed. That time Federer too much to handle.
And
another game point for 4-all. Fifth ace. Federer able to hold. Tonight on a new cold case haunted by a childhood memory, one detective persuades his team to reopen an old mystery. A new episode of Cold Case tonight on CBS. So this entire match has elevated to a new level. Seeing great tennis.
Thank you.
4-all in the third.
This is beautiful.
15 left.
I love watching Nadal's eyes. Even when he loses a point, he's still so dialed in.
Thirty 15. Nadal having trouble with his footwork.
And Federer's been trying to hit behind Nadal, and more often than not, Rafael has been able to make those moves. Somehow squirt the ball back and keep the rally going. And Federer got him there.
Chance for Federer.
It's a little hard to tell who they're cheering for because Nadal's nickname is Rafa, but some of these people are yelling Roger.
Oh, yeah. He's fun to watch. Third ace. Deuce.
Federer doesn't even make a move with this one. He was so surprised by it.
Miss hit by Federer.
Advantage Nadal.
Federer at the end of that last point.
The winner of the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award this year, no less. That is how frustrated even Roger Federer can be by Rafael Nadal, an 18-year-old who has shown not only remarkable offense, but extraordinary defense.
And Nadal came out, again, sprinted to his position, was bouncing up and down and from side to side, ready to go. And Federer serving to stay in this match.
Love 15.
3 points away.
All.
15 all. Fourth double fault. And now 30 all. Federer down 2 sets, serving at 4-5 in the third. .30. Deep in the corner. 7th ace. Nadal serves.
Love that shot. You see a lot of the great clay court players go to that.
15 love.
Guillermo Correa of Argentina has a very sneaky little drop shot that he uses so well, but this kid's got the same great concept about that. And he slices under it so much that you really would have to kill yourself to get to that ball. And then you'd still be in a defensive position.
30 love.
Quickly, 30 love.
Guess where? All these photographers here. Guess where they're aiming?
Well, they started
the other way.
I was going to say they started on the Federer side. And that That won't improve Rogers' mood any.
40 love.
Down now 40 love.
Well, he certainly hasn't played close to his very best tennis, but credit this kid for really taking him out of his rhythm, out of his best tennis.
Uncle Tony likes it.
40-15.
That's in. And he has done that all day long. Now, the biggest win to date for Rafael Nadal in his career was in Davis Cup against the United States in the final, and now we've got a very Davis Cup-like atmosphere here in Key Biscayne.
Federer's trying to wait out a wave. They were chanting "Olé" as they do in Spain. Obviously, it's we're in Miami, Key Biscayne, a very large Spanish-speaking population, and they have fallen hard for this kid.
So Federer will serve again to stay in the match and try to send us to a third set tiebreak. A number of people in tennis have been dialed into Rafael's potential. Carlos Moya, who is his mentor, said he expects him to be the top player in the world relatively soon. Brad Gilbert expects him to be a top 5 player. And he has shown flashes of brilliance today against the world number 1. Finally, Nadal sails it long, and it's 30-15. Time of this match, just over 2.5 hours.
Net.
There's a fist pump from Federer.
40-15.
We've seen a lot of fist pumping from Nadal. This is a good sign, showing Federer's committed to trying to take this third set and extend this final.
40-15. That's ruled out. Double fault. It's 5 for Federer and 40-30. Federer holds at 6-all.
6 games on tiebreak.
Ready for the third set tiebreak as Roger Federer, #1 player in the world, winner of 17 consecutive finals, tries to claw his way back into the match against this talented 18-year-old left-hander from Spain, Rafael Nadal. Nadal will serve to start the tiebreak. Beautiful play right down the tee.
1-0 Nadal.
Six doubles.
Nadal. Net.
2-1.
Nadal.
As Nadal prepares to serve again. And again, Nadal taking a little extra time, going over, toweling off, strolling back. Good deep play from Federer. And Nadal unable to get around on it.
2-all.
A mini break back and 2-all.
Try to hit another huge forehand. That one didn't miss by much.
Just gives you an idea of the respect that Federer has for Nadal. So look at our CBS Hawkeye confirming the ball was out. Federer feeling as though he needs to hit those kinds of big shots against this tough young competitor. Two-three. Third set tiebreak. This hit from Nadal. So 3-all. No change-ins.
Another massive forehand from Federer, and that one pays off for him.
Now Nadal benefited from the injury to Andy Roddick. It forced Roddick out in the second round here in Key Biscayne. Andy would have been Rafael's opponent in the third round. So that helped. A little fresher coming into this final, provided, of course, he'd been able to get past Roddick. Federer serving 3-all.
That forehand misses.
4-3 Nadal.
So close.
Well, they're both looking to hit their forehands.
Nadal can just feel it. Nadal has been like kryptonite to the Superman of men's tennis. He's made him look mortal. And Nadal inches even closer at 5-3.
Nadal was so pragmatic coming into this match. He said, if he plays his best tennis, I don't have a chance. If he doesn't play his best tennis, I have a small chance. It's 2 points from the biggest win of his life.
Both players very conservative. Finally, Federer commits to coming in, and Nadal puts it in the net. It looked for an instant as though it would go out,
5-all.
but it dipped down and caught the line.
Running around again, he's hitting his best shot into Nadal's best shot, but it was too well struck. He committed to making that, and it paid off for him.
5-all.
Federer.
Well, set point for the world #1. A tremendous third set. And finally, Federer has taken a set off of the talented young Spaniard.